Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel. I'm your host, Armani Talks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome aboard. Every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm dropping brand new videos on how to tell better stories, create effortless speeches, and improve your social presence. Join the tribe by hitting that subscribe button right on below, hit that bell notification, and never miss another video again. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. And be sure to drop that like on your way in. In today's episode, we're entering the world of storytelling, and we're going to be breaking down a formula that I break down in my new book, The Art and Science of Storytelling, which is currently available on Amazon. I'll drop the link for the book in the description box or the pinned comment right on below, or you can go straight to Amazon to grab a copy. This formula is known as the pain-pleasure formula. What exactly is the purpose of a storyteller? Why are we telling stories in the first place? Did you think about it? Do you have an answer? Here's my answer. The answer is that you have to speak to human experiences. And for you to speak to human experiences, you must speak to human emotions. Now wait, if you're someone that is logical, you may not like that phrase too much. Emotions. It's a little too blurry. And I can 110% empathize with you. Therefore, the pain-pleasure formula is going to turn the blurry world of emotions into something more mathematical. Storytelling is a mathematical formula that we can follow to the T while exercising our creativity. In this video, I'm going to tell you a quick story about the first time I ever went to a Scientology church and my experience with it. From there, I'm going to explain what the pain-pleasure formula is. And finally, I'm going to give you an exercise that will allow you to use this formula to tell compelling stories. If you're ready and excited for today's talk, go on and drop that like for me right on below. Roughly around 2019, I had a buddy of mine who was training to become a motivational speaker. And he was getting mentored by a prestigious motivational speaker. One day, this buddy of mine calls me and he's like, "Yo, Armani, what are you doing this Friday?" I told him, "Not much. What's up?" He's like, "Armani, this Friday, I want you to come to a Scientology church with me." When he asked me that, I was like, "A Scientology church? Hell nah. You haven't heard about all the weird stuff that they do? Nah, man, count me out. And by the way, why do you want to go to the Scientology church?" And that's when he said that his mentor suggested that he goes. And the reason why was because apparently the Scientology church teaches a lot about leadership skills, of vocal coaching, and how to communicate much more effectively. When I heard that, I was like, okay, I mean, there's this prestigious public speaker that's giving this advice. How about I at least hear him out? So I agreed with my buddy and I was like, okay, fine. I'll go to this church with you this Friday, but if they're doing anything weird, I'm gonna run, man. We go on Friday and both of us were greeted by two women. One woman is roughly 65 years old, wearing a pantsuit. The other woman is roughly 25 years old, wearing a pantsuit. The 65-year-old is predominantly talking to my buddy, while the 25-year-old is predominantly talking to me. We're catching up, we're getting to know each other, and eventually they start to give us a tour of the Scientology church. And eventually they start showing us a whole bunch of these different videos on what Scientology is about. I'm learning about the reactive mind, I'm learning about the founder of Scientology. And also, I see this video called Emotional Tone Scale. This is a scale that organizes the different emotions that humans experience from the lightest to the darkest. The lightest emotions are the emotions which make you feel big. Love, gratitude, happiness, optimism, all at the top of the scale. The middle of the scale is for the neutral emotions like boredom. And the bottom of the scale is for the painful emotions that make you feel small, like sadness, anxiety, anger, etc. As I'm looking at this emotional tone scale, I was stunned because I noticed how similar this looked to an electromagnetic spectrum. Also, what I noticed was that the Scientology was predominantly using this scale for vocal coaching because our voice is able to create any of the emotions on the emotional tone scale. But for me, I wasn't going to be using this emotional tone scale predominantly for vocal coaching. I was going to be using it for storytelling. Because at a very macro level view, when I looked at the scale, I saw predominantly two types of emotions. Pleasure, which was on the top of the scale, and pain, which was on the bottom of the scale. And that's when I made a stunning realization. All storytellers are pretty much toggling between pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain. Why? It's because our goal as a storyteller is to speak to human experiences. Now here's the thing. Our senses are wired to be attracted to pleasure and repulsed by pain. But whenever we're consuming a story, we accept pain and pleasure. Otherwise, you wouldn't be consuming a story. Think about it. Any stories that you consume on Netflix, on fiction, books, or comic books, whatever, you'll notice that the creator of the story is pretty much just toggling between pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. I saw this recently as I was watching the remake of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They recently remade it, and it's a dark version of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's not a comedy. And when I was watching it, I noticed that in the beginning of the episode, the character Will Smith is on top of the world. He is popular. He's about to get a scholarship because he's so great at basketball. The future is looking bright. Pleasure. But what happens as the show is progressing is that Will Smith gets caught with a gun. He fires off a gun to scare off the people that are beating up his friend. As soon as he fires off the gun, the cops come and they arrest Will Smith. And suddenly, Will Smith, the guy who was having this bright future, is suddenly in jail. Pain. He feels scared. He's anxious about what's going to happen to him next. He's worried. But then what happens is that he gets pulled out of jail early. Why? It's because he has a powerful uncle who's well connected with a lot of the people in the police department who allows him to get out of jail early and possibly start over in a new location. Once again, pleasure, because now he's feeling optimism. So that's pretty much what that entire show was on a macro level scale. Pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain. All stories are like that. So what you want to do is you want to try it out for yourself. You want to give yourself a rhythm of a story that you want to create. You could say, okay, create a story that's pleasure, pleasure, pain, pain, pleasure. How would you create this story? And you don't always have to use the same pleasure emotions. Sometimes it could be optimism, other times it could be love. You don't always have to use the same pain emotions. Sometimes it could be anger, other times it could be anxiety. Okay? But on the general scale, we're predominantly focusing on pleasure and pain. I'll give you a quick little example. Imagine that I assign myself the rhythm pleasure, pleasure, pain, pain, pleasure. There's a guy named Johannes who is having a good day. Pleasure. His day gets even better when his father gives him a car. Pleasure. As Johannes is riding the car in the highway, suddenly he gets in a car accident. Pain. His car is totaled, and what happens is that he injured the car right next to him. The driver is not looking too good. Pain. But here's the thing. The driver from the car that he hit stole the car, so he's not going to file any charges on Johannes. The driver runs off, and Johannes is now good to go with no insurance payments needed. pleasure. This is a very simple rhythm that I created, but you could turn it heavily complex if you want to. No need to though. Learn how to ride the bike on training wheels before you take off the training wheels. Start simple and then get more complex over time. But at a general scale, a storyteller needs to communicate with human experiences. In order to communicate with human experiences, they must communicate with human emotions. In order to understand human emotions on a general scale, it simply comes down to pleasure and pain. Just keep toggling between these two and you will have infinite story material. Did you enjoy today's talk? If so, then get the full book of the art and science of storytelling in the description box and the pinned comment, or go straight to Amazon and grab your copy today. Thank you very much for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next time.